Fire crews battle a downtown Pittsburgh apartment fire.
The state of Missouri will be starting the final 2 phases of vaccine distribution sooner than anticipated. I'm Zach Dodge with why a few local health departments are excited about that. Coming up.
The CDC issues new social distancing guidance for schools.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Fire investigators are trying to determine the cause of a fire today in a downtown Pittsburgh apartment building. This is KOAM News at 5. The call came in around 7:30 this morning of a fire at the Smith Clinic Apartments at 9th and Broadway. Firefighters from Pittsburgh and Frontenac battled that fire for about 3 hours. No one was injured, however, 3 residents were still in the building when firefighters arrived and alerted them to get out.
And then we come to the door and the firemen are yelling there. They're like, "You need to get out." We're like screaming, just running down the hallway, can't breathe for nothing. We get to the stairs and we're just choking on the smoke.
Fire department tells us the second floor of the building is heavily damaged. No word yet on the cause of that fire. I want to make a correction to a story we ran yesterday concerning a fatal crash in Crawford County, Kansas. We incorrectly said the victim's name was Gary Puffenbarger. The victim's name was actually Gregory Puffenbarger. We apologize for the error. Checking in with Nick Kelly now. Not a bad way to end the work week, Nick.
Yeah, after severe weather and wintry weather for the span of a day, Dow's nice. The Mother Nature's giving us a break as we get this weekend underway. Mostly sunny skies we've enjoyed all day long. And even looking back out toward the west, I've got a few more nice days of nice weather lined up before our next storm system decides to roll on in as we head into early next week. As far as temperatures go, a bit chilly, sure, but not really bad in the grand scheme of things. We're seeing most of us in the middle to upper 50s right now. We've been chilly today because of a good northeasterly and now easterly breeze at about 5 to 15 miles per hour. It's going to turn more southeasterly, but the breeze is going to calm down through the night. That means we'll quickly fall through the 50s, 40s, 39 by midnight, and I think we'll drop near 30 before we see temperatures back in the 60s for the rest of the weekend. So a mild weekend and a nice weekend lined up for us now. We'll break down the rest of the forecast here in a bit.
All right, we'll see you then. Thanks, Nick. Missouri will open the final 2 phases of vaccine distribution sooner than originally anticipated. KOAM's Zach Dodge has why some of our local health officials are excited about that.
In less than a month, every adult in Missouri will be able to get a COVID-19 vaccine if they choose to.
I like the fact that we're opening up the phases.
We're excited about that.
Phase 2 in Missouri will open on March 29th, bringing eligibility to 880,000 more residents. Then on April 9th, Phase 3 opens, making every adult eligible for a vaccine.
I think that's a great thing because now from a provider perspective, we don't have to go through that screening process to try to figure out, are you eligible, are you not eligible?
Larry Bergner at the Newton County Health Department says in a few weeks, the amount of vaccine they receive will be doubled, so they will have the vaccine supply and the arms to get them into.
We have had a few instances where we actually have trouble getting enough people to sign up to get the vaccine that's available. So by opening up all of the phases, I don't think we'll have to deal with that problem.
And in Barton County, Joel Dermott agrees that opening things up will make everything less confusing for everyone.
Especially here where we live and where we're next to other states, we border other states and their protocols may be a little different than ours. So that creates even more confusion.
But most importantly, both administrators say they could very possibly get to a point where herd immunity, what we've been working toward all along, could be just around the corner.
So we can all work together to increase the number of vaccine doses we give each week. We can get to that herd immunity and then even beyond as quickly as possible. And I'm excited that we could actually do it by summertime.
In Barton and Newton counties, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
Both men say they'll continue to administer vaccines on an appointment basis since they'll continue to receive a certain amount of vaccine each week. Missouri Governor Mike Parson today kicked off what he calls the state's first mega vaccine event at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. 6,000 to 8,000 people who have previously signed up are expected to get the 1-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine during the 2-day event. The governor says the state's vaccination trend is encouraging.
Overall, Missouri's position is continuously improving on the COVID-19 front. Our economy is bouncing back strong. Missouri is still leading the nation at the second lowest for average daily cases, and each day more and more Missourians are receiving vaccines.
The governor says more than 25% of Missourians age 18 and up have received an initial vaccine dose, including about half of all Missourians age 65 and older. President Biden says today is the day the U.S. met his goal of administering 100 million COVID vaccine shots in his first 100 days in office. And we hit that goal 42 days early. Also today, the CDC is updating its recommendations for physical distancing in schools. Reporter Natalie Brand has the latest from Capitol Hill.
President Biden visited the Centers for Disease Control headquarters in Atlanta Friday to get an update on efforts to fight the pandemic.
There's still a lot of transmission throughout the country at the moment.
The visit comes on the day the Biden administration says it has met its target of administering 100 million vaccine doses weeks ahead of schedule.
We owe you a gigantic debt of gratitude, and we will for a long, long, long time.
Also Friday, the CDC updated guidance for schools, saying students in elementary schools can now be 3 feet apart rather than the previously recommended 6 feet in classrooms where everyone wears a mask. The same is true for middle and high school classrooms, unless they are in communities where transmission is high.
Because COVID-19 is spread more likely among older students, CDC recommends that middle and high school students should be at least 6 feet apart in communities where COVID-19 risk is high.
The American Federation of Teachers is reserving judgment for now.
The studies thus far on distancing have been pretty muddled.
President Randy Weingarten tells us teachers also have questions about logistics.
We have to figure out in all these schools right now, which have been set up for 6 feet physical distancing, how this is going to work.
The White House coronavirus response team also addressed the uptick in cases in some areas, saying it's a concern as more states drop mask mandates and pull back on other mitigation efforts. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
The White House COVID response team says new cases nationwide are plateauing around 53,000 per day, which is still too high. A little bit later, a look at the efforts in Granby, Missouri to save the town's hardware store. And at Next in Health Watch, Pfizer tests the effect of its COVID-19 vaccine on pregnant women. The first coronavirus vaccine trial involving pregnant women is underway in the U.S. and worldwide. The Pfizer trial will assess vaccine safety and efficacy and look at whether the vaccine can transfer protective antibodies to newborns. More than 51,000 pregnant women have already received the vaccine without waiting for trial results. Nikki Batiste spoke with one expectant mother after she received the first of her 2 doses.
In her 8th month of pregnancy, Kelsey Carpenter rolled up her sleeve for a shot at protection.
All right, just relax your arm. Okay.
Not just for her, but more importantly, she says, for her unborn daughter.
Are you worried at all, or are you happy you're doing this?
I'm happy I'm doing this. I would be totally off base if I said I wasn't a little nervous.
The 28-year-old from Fort Worth, Texas, who is already mom to a toddler, says she and her husband discussed the vaccine extensively before signing up.
It just seemed like the best decision for me and my family.
The Pfizer trial will include 4,000 healthy pregnant women from at least 9 countries who are between 24 to 34 weeks of gestation. Half will receive a placebo. Each woman is asked to keep a trial diary, recording any symptoms such as fever. Dr. Cynthia Robbins is Carpenter's OBGYN.
Our hope is that by getting the vaccine, it transfers over the immunity through the placenta to the baby.
The American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists recommends that COVID-19 vaccines not be withheld from pregnant and nursing women.
Were you nervous at all to administer vaccines to pregnant women?
No, I wasn't, because I knew that the actual disease, the COVID-19 infection in pregnancy, was going to be worse than in the general population.
The CDC says no reports of miscarriages, stillbirths, or preterm births have been linked with the vaccines in women who became pregnant while participating in the initial vaccine trials. As part of the trial, newborns will be monitored for their first 6 months of life.
That's what sold me on it. Like, okay, this could help my daughter. This can keep me safe.
Pfizer told us the women in this trial who receive a placebo will get a real vaccine 1 month after birth. That's important because it's believed nursing mothers pass antibodies to their newborns through breast milk. Pfizer expects the results from their trial in the summer of 2022. Nikki Batiste, CBS News, New York.
There's at least one documented case of a baby born in the U.S. with antibodies against COVID-19 after the mother was vaccinated while pregnant. Putting pen to paper may help you remember better. A study in Japan found writing on paper led to more brain activity when recalling the information an hour later compared with note-taking on tablets or smartphones. Today is National Certified Nurses Day. Certified nurses continue their education to get certifications in specialties like nurse practitioner, pediatrics, medical, surgical, and psychiatric, among others. The day started as an honor to Margareta Madding Stiles, whose birthday was March 19, 1930. She pioneered the study and practice of nursing all around the country. Nick Kelly is up next with his complete forecast, and a little bit later, the push to save and restore an area hardware store.
We were turned quite a bit cooler behind our last storm system that gave us 2 rounds of severe weather and wintry weather all within a span of a day, but at least Mother Nature's giving us a break and getting our weekend started on a nice note. It was cool for sure yesterday. We had highs only in the mid-40s, dropped back into lower to middle 30s this morning, but a nice jump into temperatures. Most of us back in the mid-50s this afternoon. Fortunately, it gets better for the rest of our weekend. Not only do I see temperatures staying mild for tomorrow and Sunday, I'm keeping us dry for the rest of the weekend too, with partly to mostly sunny skies in place. However, sticking with Doug's pattern, we get back into an active stretch with thunderstorm chances eager to return early next week. Earliest indications show Monday is when our rain chances will ramp back up once again, but no threatening weather whatsoever. Nice looking shot of blue skies from our station's rooftop looking back toward Joplin. 56 at Joplin Regional with a north breeze at 14, and the humidity not too bad, sitting at 42%. So even though it's a bit chilly, at least we have dry air in place, so it feels actually kind of nice to be outside. Most of us sitting in the mid-50s, but once you hop into northeast Oklahoma, you're seeing more upper 50s to near 60 at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. We're certainly a bit chillier than normal today because of a good northeast breeze at about 5 to 15 miles per hour. We're starting to calm that breeze down as we get into this evening and seeing that breeze start to shift out to southeast. That is going to lead to a warmer day tomorrow, but the calming breeze means we'll quickly fall through the 50s, 40s, down to the upper 30s by midnight. Most of us right around 30. So definitely another cold start to get your Saturday started. But look at how quiet it is. A nice change of pace after we dealt with that midweek storm system that gave us 2 rounds of severe weather and plenty of severe weather across parts of the deep south. Thankfully, it's high pressure. That's what's keeping us in control, even though it's centered right over Michigan. Still watching our next cold front. That's the one that'll roll in early next week, but we got to wait for this upper low in the Pacific Northwest to drag that front in here. Until it does, look at this upper ridge sitting over Denver. That is going to push us back into the 60s tomorrow as that starts to nudge our way. Again, nice temperatures ahead of us, but we just got to get past another cold night ahead of us. At least we keep things quiet with a light southeast breeze and clear skies up top, but everyone drops back near 30. Cold start for your Saturday morning. Then we're looking really good for the rest of the day tomorrow. That same conditions that'll lead us to a cold start in the morning pushes us to 53 by noon and highs near 63 in Joplin. In fact, I think everyone's fair game to go lower to mid 60s with everybody enjoying mostly sunny skies for your Saturday. Looking at the rest of the week ahead of us, here's Sunday, still underneath that ridge. Partly sunny skies, but I think we'll squeeze out another day with highs around 65. Then here comes that next cold front. This upper low sitting over the Pacific Northwest right now pushes the cold front our way. We'll see a good shot for widespread rain and storms on Monday. On and off rain chances continue through Wednesday. Maybe skirting systems with a few rain chances on Thursday. Then we've got another storm system by Friday. So it does get a bit active as we go into next week. But at the very least, for the rest of this weekend and to kick off spring officially tomorrow, we're looking good. 63 for your Saturday, mid-40 Sunday morning with highs near 65, and temperature still not looking bad, even with rain chances on the way for next week, Dal.
Definitely looks like a good weekend to get outside and soak up some of this spring air.
Absolutely, as we finally kick off the season tomorrow.
You bet. Thanks, Nick. Hey, don't forget, you can be the first to know about the day's weather with the KOAM Skywatch weather app, especially important as we head into spring now. Get severe weather updates sent straight to your phone. Doesn't cost a dime. It's available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Again, that's the KOAM Skywatch weather app. Some property owners in Stone County, Missouri have a mess on their hands because of the storms this week. A house flipped over and a tree fell on a truck near Galena, Missouri. The Stone County Sheriff says fallen trees damaged homes, barns, boats, and power lines in that area, but there were no reported injuries. Coming up, a look at the restoration efforts at an area hardware store. First, though, we honor a local veteran. Eric Paxton served in the U.S. Army in 2010. The Altamont, Kansas native was stationed in Afghanistan and received a Purple Heart. And we salute Sergeant Eric Paxton, a four-state hero. Oil prices have hit kind of a speed bump. A sign demand remains low even after a year of shutdowns and stay-at-home orders. Crude futures have seen 5 straight days of losses. Yesterday, they dipped 7% to close at $60 a barrel. The historic hardware store in Granby, Missouri is finally getting a new purpose. It was built back in 1906. It housed many different needs for the town, but closed in the 90s when the owner's wife died. Now, one local business owner has bought the building and hopes to turn it into something that'll bring more people to the area and boost the economy.
The building downtown, we're hoping to save it. Basically, it's the old hardware store built in 1906. So the goal is to save the building, then move my businesses in, bring in more businesses, and just really stimulate our economy.
Arnall says after putting out a message online about saving the hardware store, the majority of the community said they wanted it to be rebuilt. If working from home is giving you the blues, well, be kind to yourself. A study in the Journal of Occupational Health Psychology found that practicing self-compassion lessened feelings of work loneliness. Researchers say companies can help employees with clear communication about pandemic responses and job security, and even host voluntary social activities to boost morale. A final check of the forecast next. The CBS Evening News is next, but there won't be a KOAM News at 6 today because of the NCAA tournament. Also, KOAM News at 10 is going to be pushed back later than usual. On KOAM News at 9 on our sister station, Fox 14, we're going to hear from the Pittsburgh Fire Chief about today's downtown apartment fire. Plus, Joplin school officials respond to the CDC's new guidance for social distancing. We're going to have that and more at 9 and on the late edition of KOAM News at 10. A rescue operation to free a hooked goose in California exposed a larger issue that has local bird lovers crying foul. Wildlife rescuers believe the goose had a large fishing hook stuck in its beak for a week. They were able to avoid a wild goose chase and freed their feathered friend, but wildlife rescuers say there's a bigger issue at play. They say birds trapped by littered hooks and fishing line is the #1 service call they get annually. Let's check back with Nick Kelly now for a final look at the weather.
We're smooth sailing for tonight and the rest of the weekend, Dow. Cold tonight, but we'll shoot back into the mid-60s tomorrow and Sunday under partly to mostly sunny skies. A nice weekend to enjoy before we see rain chances to get a ramp back up starting Monday.
Again, CBS Evening News is next. Basketball after that. Our late news later than usual. In the meantime, please, let's take care of ourselves and each other.